All right, everyone. Reports are in, and this is, of course, unnamed source mode, so we're not 100% sure whether all of this is true, that Joe Biden is a little bit bitter, and I can imagine that he would be, for having been forced out of the race by most of the rest of the Democratic Party, and is convinced that he would have beaten Donald Trump. I said many, many months ago that Joe Biden should be the Democratic presidential candidate. Would he have won against Donald Trump? I do not believe so. Would he have done better than Kamala Harris and probably at least won the popular vote, even after his disastrous debate performance with incumbency behind him, with a much more energized liberal populace behind him, because Kamala can't energize herself, let alone anyone else? I think that he would have done better. He probably would have won the popular vote. He probably would have grabbed Pennsylvania, because it seems like the voters there are more on the liberal, like Union Dem side, more than anything else. A lot of them fled to Trump, but I think he could have at least held his own. I think that he wouldn't have been humiliated. I don't think he would have won, but I don't think he would have been crushed the way that Kamala Harris was. The fact is, by the way, that on his way out, Joe Biden definitely put the screws into Kamala Harris. At this point, I'm completely convinced. It wasn't just the MAGA hat incident. When he was asked about Kamala Harris losing, he had a shit-eating grin on his face, and this was a genuine smile. I'm good at reading body language and linguistics. These are two of my fortes within psychology. Looking at his body language, that was a genuine smile. He thought it was hysterical. He didn't have any problem with it at all. He had a good time hamming it up with Donald Trump once Trump was elected. Of course, they had their meeting there. They seemed to be getting along just fine. It's almost like, politics is politics. This happens many times. I think that Joe Biden would have lost, but it would have been a lot closer. Kamala Harris was a uniquely dislikable candidate, and if they run her in 2028, my God, the Democrats will be beyond salvation. If she runs for governor of California, she can probably win. It's a deep blue state. Any Democratic candidate there probably wins anyway. She can take second prize, basically. She'll have no problem with that. I would expect her to win. I would predict that race on day one, too. Assuming that she doesn't get primaried by anyone more talented than her. And looking at the Democratic Party currently, yeah, and that's sort of the mean, median, and mode of the Democratic Party at the time, so yeah, probably not going to happen. If she is actually insane enough to run for president, and if the Democrats are insane enough to actually accept her primary run, then they've lost it. They've just completely lost the plot at that point. The paradigm at that point definitely shifts markedly in the populistic direction. It doesn't matter who the Republicans run. They wouldn't be able to lose. You could run, inbred Jed at that point, and he'd probably win. He's got, he's got the redneck hat, wearing a flannel shirt. He comes out on stage. Well, yeah, man, I love guns. Minted. You probably still win the Electoral College and possibly the popular vote at that point. I agree with Joe Biden. Joe Biden would have done better, and I mentioned it at the time. And I told the Democrats, I know you're not supposed to give advice to your enemies. Don't interrupt them when we're making a mistake. I'm not a Republican, so it doesn't apply to me. I mentioned it at the time. The Democrats should have stuck with Joe Biden, despite his disastrous debate performance, gassed him up, had another debate, and let him do a little bit better. A redemption arc sort of thing. That's what they should have done. Or he could have come out and said, well, this would have been it would have been an excuse, but he could have used it. When I was at the debate with Mr. Trump, I was exceptionally tired because I'm having to deal with all sorts of issues. I'm the president of the United States. I have to deal with diplomacy, I have to deal with the border and all the, well, you probably don't want to mention the border, the economy and stuff like that. I have to sign legislation, I'm getting 5 hours of sleep a night and so forth. I admit I am an older man, and so when I was at the debate, I wasn't playing my A game. That would have been so much preferable to running Kamala Harris. He's fundamentally right. He would have been a better candidate. I mean, I said it months ago. Other people mentioned the same thing. They're like, the Democrats are astronomically retarded by running this woman and simply doing the id poll thing. The idea is, okay, I've got boobs. Vote for me. Okay, but you're 60 years old. You know, the boobs might be sagging a little bit at this point. You're not charismatic. You're not well-spoken. You're not friendly or personable in any reasonable manner. Joe Biden, at the very least, came off as the slightly dilapidated old grandfather figure. Now, this is not ideal. But that being said, it's better than the alternative of having a fucking psychopath running for office. The Democrats made a huge strategic error by running Kamala Harris. And the fact was, and this was the problem, there were other people that would be qualified. You could have gotten Buttigieg in, Newsom, Whitmer, you know, all of these people. That would have been fine. It would have been a suitable replacement. Perhaps they could have made it. Probably not, but at least they would put up a fight. But the problem was that in several of the competitive states, I think it was Pennsylvania and Georgia specifically, you would have to be part of the ticket in order to actually get the electoral votes. In other words, what would have happened if they went with anyone other than Kamala Harris is that they would have been ceding several states to Donald Trump, or the electoral votes simply wouldn't come in. It could be to the point where you don't have a majority for anyone. Then Kamala Harris, I believe, would reign over a vote count, ironically, in a race that she was actually the candidate in such a case, which would be funny. Donald Trump was fated to win the election. He was simply the better candidate in pretty much every aspect. Harris was very, very weak. Biden was also a weak candidate. His debate performance is probably the worst in the last 50 fucking years in the United States. But he still would have fared better. In the end, Biden at least probably would have won the state of Pennsylvania. It would have been closer. Would he have won? Probably not. Would he have been humiliated? Probably not. And to have a situation in which you have a party candidate who is old, has terrible debate performances, but still at least kind of comes close, would have been so much preferable to having the young id poll candidate in the face of the new Democratic Party, as she was astroturfed as, getting absolutely ass-blasted and totally humiliated, which is exactly what happened. Kamala Harris didn't come anywhere near close. She got hammered as hard as Hillary Clinton and managed to lose the popular vote in the process. Which one would have been preferable? I think I would have stuck with Joe Biden. He's not fundamentally wrong. Weak candidate? Yes. Demented? Yes. Good person? Absolutely goddamn not. Got new reports about the Hunter Biden laptop just the other day. But he would have fared better for pragmatic political reasons. That's about all. Peace out.